be a great idea. Oh, okay. So welcome tonight. Yeah, as you can see, resources. I've got my makeshift easel here, which I had to make for this desk because I was trying to find. I went down to the art studio and I thought, oh, I'll do it in the art studio. You know, we'll have our session in the art studio. But anyway, recording's not too crash hot there, and I didn't catch up with the tech guy to do a full-on bird's eye view either. So anyway, it is what it is. So we will be going through some painting techniques. I'm going to show you some printmaking techniques and show you some resources, okay, that you can use within early childhood and primary. We will be going through the early childhood slide, and I will be talking about that group assessment and your group allocations. So hopefully by now you have looked at the list and made sure that you are on the list. If you are not, please let me know at the end of this tutorial, and we'll try and get you on one. We will definitely get you on one. I did ask people if they weren't on the list, then source one that has, you know, 3 members or less than 3 members, and you know, take down those email addresses and then ask them if you can join. So hopefully some members have already done that. Otherwise, if you're having a little bit of trouble, then yeah, I will help you. Okay, so that was for assessment 2, part A. And of course, you've got assessment 1 also. So they're due, and I'll be a broken record with this. They're due around I think they're a week apart. Okay, but that group assessment is vitally important to start making contact, and it is vitally important that you start that. Okay, all right.
Victoria,
yeah, sure.
With assessment 2, I was just curious, given it's so soon, is there any way we could make it due on the Sunday instead of the Saturday?
Yes, I will negotiate that for you. Yeah,
cool.
Yeah, because it comes up too quick, this one. I
figured when it's on a weekend, I was like, it won't impact from your end, hopefully.
Yeah, no, that's all. Look, yeah, whatever I can do to support you. I'm going to have a meeting with the national lecturer in charge, Joanne Harris, Wednesday. So I'll send a generic email out to you all, and I'll negotiate that for you. But yeah, I don't think that's a problem at all. Okay.
Amazing. Thank you.
All right. Okay. So yeah, anyway, we'll talk about if anyone is having problems with the group getting in contact and you know, and that side of things, just let me know at the end.
Victoria?
Yes.
Hi, good evening. Can I ask you a question about the assignment, or do you want me to wait for the end of the tutorial? What do you advise?
That's okay. I will get up that assessment. Is it assessment 1 or assessment 2?
The one that is due on the 13th. Can I ask you a very quick question? Is it okay?
Yeah, sure.
So I put the question as well on the chat, like this, it will be easier. If I choose to do a Word document,
yes,
I've got my group and everything, but if I choose to do a Word document, when I will talk about my project, does it mean that I just do the description and the making and the responding? I put the question on the chat as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can't, if I do a Word document, it's not, I will just describe my project. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. So you can't do the making task?
No. What I'm trying to say is, if I choose, because on the criteria, it is written that we can submit the Word document if we wish.
Oh, if you wish. Is that the reflection part?
It is. It's the one that is due on the 13th. Let me check. It is written. Where is it?
Hang on. I'll go into assessment 2. I'll go into the assessment tile.
Yes. So, how to submit? It is written. Upload a file or Word document.
Okay. Oh.
So my question for you is, if I choose the option to do the Word document, do I do just the description, the making, and the responding in writing?
Yes, but there is a template up there.
Mm,
So for assessment 2 part 1, I don't know.
I couldn't find any template for that.
There is not, Victoria, there is no template. So that's why if you could
not?
please clarify, if it's
Yeah.
just writing, and is there a word limit? Because, I can make pages.
Yes, I know. It can go on. Yes, there is a word limit. I'm just trying to get this up for you.
If you could please clarify when you have time.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. We can go through that now. Oh, this stupid computer. Can you see what's happening on my computer?
Yep.
Ah, so annoying. Oh, hang on. Sorry, guys. Bit of a glitch. Why isn't that going? Okay, just going to use arrows. All right. So if I go to assessment 2.
Yes.
Yep. Okay.
Where did you go?
Oh my gosh, this is annoying. Oh, okay. Far out, this is playing up tonight. Hang on. Sorry about this.
I think it might have opened up the top as well in the next tab to the right. It looks like it opened in a new tab.
Yeah, thank you for that.
That's okay.
Okay, all right. So arts making products. Oh, that's no good. I'll just go back to my assessments here. Okay, I'm just going to minimize you guys.
Okay.
And I'll just answer that question for you. Far out. This is crazy. Okay. Okay. Oh, actually, you know what I have got? I'll just go into this. This is my PowerPoint. Okay, so I'll scoot down to the reflection itself. Individual reflection. Here we go. Okay, so submit one file per member containing your individual reflection. The reflection template is provided, so I'll get that up for you.
I'm not sure what we're meant to be looking at, but we've got group making task in a Word document at the moment.
I'm not quite sure what you guys are seeing. I'll just have a little look. So where did you get that Word document? Is that from the assessment tile?
Yeah. Can I try to share my screen if I can? I've got so many windows open as well. Yes, it's on the website. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Hang on a moment. I'll go into.
So it's on the. Yeah.
So is it under the rubric here? Assessment 2 detailed guidelines?
Unit outline. The outline.
Oh, the unit.
Yeah, the unit outline.
Okay, but I'm just trying to get you up the reflection template though.
We've got a reflection. This is for the week after, the 20th.
Oh, for the first assignment.
So I'm referring. My question is about the second one. Due in 2 weeks. Due in 2 weeks, in short.
Right. So that's assessment 1, not assessment 2.
No. The template. In short, if I'm not mistaken, if the template we have, if I'm not mistaken, is for assessment 1.
Right. Yep.
But my question.
Zoom recording. Yeah. So in saying that, if you do choose to do a Word document, your whole group must have a page and then annotated notes. So each person will add to the Word document.
So it means if I do Word document, my teammate will be part of the Word document as well, of course.
That's right. So that the product that you choose, say if you chose a poster and your other group member chose to do a zine, then those photos would have to be put up into the Word document with the individual annotated notes.
Yeah, yes, of course.
Yeah.
Focus. Okay, it's more. Thank you so much. It's
No,
it's
that's okay.
clarification.
That's all right.
And is there a word limit at the end?
Now, it is worth 25%, but I don't know, there's no word limit because it's really based on the product. The reflection,
yes.
the reflection on the other hand has got a word limit. So I think it's about 1,000 words.
I think it is 1,000. Yes.
Yeah. So that's where so your reflection's got the word limit. This
Yes.
one is just really the annotated notes. Don't make life too hard for yourself and add a whole list of supporting research and stuff like that, how you connected to the technique or anything, but just give a concise and clear annotation of the chosen technique, the elements and that. But see, in the reflection, you're going to be reflecting on that anyway. Okay.
When you say reflect on that, is there a reflective part for this assignment?
Yes, there is. So if I flip back, I'll flip back to my PowerPoint.
Yes.
So there's an individual reflection. So I'll go from the start. I'll go from the making. Okay. So you've got your group, your designated group. You're creating a digital portfolio. So of 3 to 4 digital media products. So that's one per person, depending on how big your group is.
Yes.
You're selecting a theme, which I'll go through in a moment. Yes. Each of your products needs to be connected via this theme. Okay, so each group member has to decide, what the theme is. So it's one theme per group.
Yes.
Then each member has to create a product, so a creative product, promoting the same theme. I'll go on. So the creative products can be, say, exploring painting, drawing, ceramics, sculpture. It just depends on what you're doing. Printmaking, which we're going to go through tonight, photography, fiber art. You choose a variety of medium and technique per group in order to create an engaging finished product, so that your finished product is going to be what you've done, but then you're going to put it all together as a group. Okay, so different finished products, but the major theme will shine through. And then your print media products, you can choose posters, flyers, brochures, advertisements, and so on. Banners, leaflets, zines, which I'll go through in a moment. And the suggested themes, I've just sort of put this PowerPoint together so it's sort of easier to look at. They're the suggested themes. So it could be events, fictional fantasy creatures, natural landscapes, natural disasters, environmental issues, whatever you choose. And then your product should explore and illustrate your feelings, thoughts, and understanding. So it's something that you have connected to. Each product needs to include an original element within its, or elements within its design.
Where did you find this? Sorry, where did you read this information?
This one, I put this together, but there is a document. Hang on a moment. I'll go back up to the share, this document. So
PowerPoint isn't actually showing. We've just got the main document.
Oh,
PDF
no, really?
document.
Yeah,
so this is the PowerPoint. This is my PowerPoint I've put together, which I might include. I might upload it and put it onto our online tile.
Please,
so you've got it, but so you can see that now. This is what I was.
okay.
I'm glad you told me. Otherwise, I would have I would have gone right through it. Yeah. So this is what I'm reading, but the document can also, a Word document can also be found on the Leo. So I'll share that one. So it looks like that. Hang on a moment. This. So group making tasks. So it's in the assessment tile under media M and VA guidelines. Okay. So if you go into the assessment tile, you'll see a folder, and then you go into that, and then it's a breakdown of the assignment. So this is what it ultimately looks like if you go into that.
Oh, okay, and the reflection. Okay, I didn't see that. Okay.
Yeah, so individual reflections at the end. I will upload
Please.
the PowerPoint that I've put together. Okay, so it sort of makes it clearer, I think, because I've got them broken up. Okay, so combined effort must be a combined effort. You must each have equal, you must all have an input with the theme. You must all make your product, and then you are sharing your Canva or your Word document, and you're uploading it and adding your annotated notes, of course, on that theme. Okay. When you upload it to Turnitin, which the reflection is going to be in a different part, okay, and you'll see it on the assessment tile or in the Brisbane tile. I'll have a look. So first off, your group product or products will be uploaded to a Dropbox, and then your reflection is a separate, because it's an individual. It will be uploaded into a Turnitin link, okay? But you will see those on the Leo site. So one group member per group will upload the finished Canva or finished Word document, okay? But you must include, when you upload it, in the title, you have to write your names. So everybody's name must be in there. So when I go in, I can see that it's your group, okay? You don't have to put assessment 1 or anything like that, but I do need your names. So group names, full names, so first and last names, please. Okay, and then we get on to the individual reflection. So this is where you are submitting one file per member. This is not a group part. The first part was a group part. This is an individual reflection, okay? So you are going to upload it under your name.
Okay.
So that's okay. Individual upload onto Leo. Now within this one, you're using the template, and this is where I was getting a bit confused. There is a template for this one.
Yes. Oh, okay.
Yeah, there is a template provided. So you're going to reflect on, you're going to describe how you use used two elements or concepts in your artwork. So you may have focused on color and line. You might have focused on printmaking or painting or a mixed media, collage. It's up to you and why you did that. And then you're going to reflect on its suitability for engaging diverse learners in years 5 to 6 with reference to the curriculum. Now, of course, we've got early childhood, so it's going to be a little bit different for you guys. Is it? I think. Okay, so you've got 500 and you got 560. So have we got pure early childhood students online?
Early childhood and primary, and both.
So everyone / early childhood primary?
I don't think there's actually just an early childhood one. I think it's all combined, yeah. Okay,
so, but what I'm asking is, have we got could you tell me if there are some early childhood educators, or are you early childhood / primary?
We're doing both in the masters.
Yep, that's okay.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, I wasn't quite sure, because in some other subjects, I've got pure early childhood, and then I've got primary. So
both.
Yeah, so you guys are both?
Yeah.
Yep,
Yes,
okay.
yes,
So
yes.
we will concentrate on years 5 to 6 within this one with reference to the curriculum, so the Australian curriculum. Now, the Australian curriculum is hyperlinked on Leo, but you can source that yourself anyway by typing in Australian curriculum, the arts, and then go to the visual and media arts, okay, to link the curriculum.
If we want to make it more relevant, can we use our state-based curriculum?
Yes, you can. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. If you state-based Australian.
Okay, cool.
We all
Alright.
might be across states though. That's the.
Pardon?
Yeah, but the reflection would be individual anyway.
Yeah, aimed. So that's fine. Yep, you can do that. Okay, so the interrelated content strands, of course, so making and responding, that's given. Band descriptors, content descriptors, and achievement standards. So your band descriptors, my advice to you guys would be have a good look at the Australian curriculum if you're not familiar with it, and have a look at the drop-down boxes. Now, I could go through that with you online if you want me to next week. Go through, but most of the tutorials I'm referring to the Australian curriculum and some content descriptors. Okay. Have a look at the achievement standards. So everything is a drop box on the Australian curriculum. Well, not everything, the band descriptors not, but the content descriptors will drop down, and then you've got, 3 or 4 content descriptors, and then from them you've got the elaborations. Okay, so have a good look, have a good play around with the Australian curriculum or your state curriculum, and make sure that you are making that connection. And you've got the achievement standards, and then you've got general capabilities and cross-curricular priorities. So, you might have a connection to Indigenous Australian and Torres Strait Islander works. So you might, you can reflect on that, and maybe Asian Asian priorities, or it might be sustainability and priority. Okay, but have a good look at the Australian curriculum, and then your state one. Okay, so what you're doing is you're briefly explaining how you would apply or teach this as a learning activity in your primary classroom. And you're including diverse learners there. So how would you engage the whole cohort of your class in authentic arts practice? Please have a look at the Denim and Chalk or the Denim text and your recommended readings there. And you must support your assumptions and statements with theoretical and peer-reviewed research. What have you learned from this process about yourself? So you've got a bit of a self-reflection there. Don't worry about drama. You're concentrating on visual arts and media arts. In others, on campus, they are concentrating on other, they're on a different timeline to us. How has this helped you in building your arts teaching practice? Identify one strength and one area which you will continue to develop to build your skills and competence. Okay, so it's it's quite a good reflection, and the template will outline this. Okay, so under the template, I'm just looking at the chat, you will find the headings to follow. Okay, early child, yes. Okay, if you could please upload the template as well, that would be great. Okay, all right, I'll go back.
So Victoria, this is worth 12.5%, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
And how much is worth reflection? Is it 50-50? I mean, is it 6.25, or you know what I mean? Is it 50-50, or how much is worth a reflection compared to the project?
So the project itself, that's a prerequisite of your reflection.
Yes.
So your rubric, if you go into your rubric, which I can get up, you'll find, hang on a moment, I'll go back to, oh no, hang on. I'll get up the unit outline. Where is it? Okay. So if we go to the rubric here, oh no, that's assessment 1. Make sure you're doing assessment 1 too. It's just that this one's quite a big one with the group project. It's getting, yeah. Anyway, okay, so you've got product is suitable for engaging diverse learners. So I'm looking at that. So that's 5 marks. All right, so it's sort of broken up. Okay, so between the product and the reflection, okay, because one complements the other, if you know what I mean. Okay, so is it, well, I'll be looking at the products. Is it suitable for that age? arts making product is cohesive, purposeful, manipulates concepts and elements. So that's worth 10 marks there.
Okay.
Yeah, art making product is all
I
right.
didn't see that. That's why.
Yep,
Sorry.
okay. All
Thank
right.
you.
So yeah.
And we are targeting year 5 and 6 only.
Year 5 and 6, but what I might do for the early, yeah, let's leave it at 5 and 6. I think
Okay.
I know there's pure early childhood people. I think in the chat, I just saw some pure early childhood. Have a look at it, because really it's yeah, we'll leave it at 5 and 6.
Okay,
So
thank you.
have a bit of, yeah, have a look around, have a look at the Australian curriculum and that side of things. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, so okay, now there is another assessment PowerPoint up there in the assessment tile, which also goes through this, so you can have a little look at that too. Yeah, it's more or less the same, going over the same stuff.
Is there anywhere that it goes through the reflection though? That presentation looks like it's just the physical making part.
Yeah, so up here, where did I have it? It's my Word document. And I'll go back through. Yep, this part. So this is up on Leo. It goes through the individual reflection here. Okay.
Yeah.
But I'll just go back here, assessment. We'll go back into assessment 2 and get up the assessment 2 detailed guidelines. Okay, you've got the group 2 making task, PDF.
Yeah, so that's essentially that PowerPoint.
Oh, that's that PowerPoint, radio. Okay. Go back. Okay. I'll have a bit of a look around. What I might do is I'll send you out a generic email and make sure that we have got our reflection up there, okay, tonight, because it is up there, but I'm just going to make sure that, hang on a moment. Oh no, that's for the first one, sorry. No, I'm going to go back. Okay. Look, whilst you guys are creating, I'm going to get on my other laptop and have a bit of a search, because that's not real good that it's not there. Okay, so I'll get that up for you. What I will do is I'll put it in our online tile, okay, so there's no confusion. All right. Okay, so let's get into this. This is the early years, so we might as well have a quick look at this one, and then we'll get into our arts making. If there are any more questions on those assessment tasks, you're more than welcome to send me an email or put it on the forum, put any questions on the forum. But make sure you do go through those different documents, and yeah, I'll try and put it into one area for you guys online, guys, okay? All right. So is everyone good to go? Yeah. Okay. All right. So, so in visual arts, students become aware of visual conventions. So conventions, the terminology is just the techniques and the elements and principles of design. They explore how and why artworks are created, of course. So, you know, developing those visual literacies. And the, you know, and written literacies and oral literacies. They learn how their ideas or subject matter can be developed through different forms. So that's why it's, you know, exposing them to a myriad of technique is really, really important. learn about how and why artists and craftspeople and designers, because craft is very different from, well, not very different, but it is different from visual arts, and designers present their ideas. So it's that's that responding stage. Okay, so we have the making and the responding, just like your assignment. Okay, so it is the children's first literacies. So you know, they start off with that scribble stage, then they go to pre-schematic stage, and then they go to schematic stage where they're starting to, well, schematic stage is where they're starting to, you know, put those observations into their visuals. And then schematic is where they actually have, they put that schema together, and they actually have those recognizable attributes to their stories. Okay, McArdle and Wright, which is, you know, is a good source to use, explain that these are the child's first literacies and attempts at literacy. So those first scribbles. It's good to know the basis of visual arts. So children gradually develop greater control and skill, of course, with regular opportunity and support. And they're, you know, in your first assessment, you are going to be, I think it's the 500s, you're going to be talking about the place of the, you know, the first steps, the first exposure to the visual arts and the arts. Okay, so the elements, line, shape, value, color, texture, and they work in unison to create a composition. So there we go, pre-schematic drawing, schematic drawing. And if you want some more information, then you've got a hyperlink here to have a look at, but exactly what I was talking about before. So observational drawing, we touched on observational drawing last week with a few different techniques, that continuous line drawing technique and the blind continuous line. So observational drawing is quite important. It's the first steps to actually, you know, drawing what we observe rather than what we perceive. So, for instance, you know, lots of us will represent a house as a triangle and a square, but really, if you were to stand in front of your house, then it wouldn't look exactly like that. Okay. So you are engaging children in drawing and what they see. They are exploring the physical world, and it allows children that graphic language and explores visual perception. So, and visual observation. Okay, so mark making, cause and effect, personal choice, development of intent and meaning making, and that independence and awareness. Allow self-generated drawings. So when you are exposing the children to artworks, you're not imposing your opinion on them. You're getting them to you know, start to develop their own viewpoints. But also too, you have to provide those opportunities where they can self-generate artworks, stories. So start creating their stories into visuals. Introducing music and drawing, so different activities and natural elements, of course. So your role is to provide opportunity, that you've got to establish your own pedagogical approaches. So it might be inquiry-based, constructivist approach, for instance, guided observation, purposeful dialogue. So in purposeful dialogue, it's those questioning strategies. So you want as much engagement as possible. So instead of asking, you know, what is, you know, what's, or what is it? You ask, could you tell me what your painting is about? What's the story behind your painting? Okay, so painting has the advantage that young children can use their fingers, of course. So finger painting is really relevant. We'll be doing a little bit of finger painting. Guided observation, expose children to professional art, of course. Take them on excursions. You can take them on virtual excursions. So really exposing them to a lot of artwork. Colour mixing, 3D constructions. You know, like in early childhood, though, we do have collage tables, we do have box corners, we do have a lot of ways of constructing. And, you know, in some degrees, that should be still the case in the primary classroom. And in a lot of classrooms that I enter do have that, but then there is a lot that just won't touch it. So it's good to let them create. Okay, so Australian curriculum, you've got the media arts, of course. It's not just about technology. It is, you know, that creation of composition again. So using, you know, photography, using it's that way of communicating. So posters, brochures, exploring, you know, digital, or exploring the concrete. All right, so we are going to explore some photography also within the tute. Just going to be talking about it, and you guys might have some experience in that regard. Next week, we're going to do a little bit of stop motion or a little bit of claymation and storyboarding. So we'll move on to that next week. And you know, we need to encourage it. There is that belonging, being and becoming. So the ELF document you need to address. So children have a strong sense of identity, of course. Children feel safe. So we'll go through the outcomes. That's outcome 1. Outcome 2, children connected with and contribute to the world. So that belonging to their community, so their inner community within the classroom, and then the wider community. They respond to diversity and they respect it. So you are, you're not only developing autonomy, you're developing empathy, and you know, allowing the children to become aware of different attributes of empathy, like fairness and responsibility. Outcome 3, children have a strong sense of well-being. So the social and emotional well-being. So we're really catering for the developmental areas, and we want the children to be confident and involved learners. So we want them to problem solve. And in the arts is a fantastic platform for problem solving, collaboration, hypothesizing, experimenting, all those higher order thinking, learning strategies. Okay, children are effective communicators, so it is really highly relevant. The arts is really highly relevant in supporting social development, okay, for both those non-verbal and verbal children. Children express ideas, meaning making, of course, symbols and patterns, and then again they can respond to artworks. So links to the curriculum, you've got the ELF document there, and that's a bit about it for that one. So let's get into the tutorial. I want to do some creating with you. Okay. So painting is self-discovery. Every good artist paints what he is. So that's Jackson Pollock. And if you're aware of Jackson Pollock, he was an abstract artist. We have Blue Poles here in Australia, quite a controversial painting in its time, but it's worth a fortune now. So it was a good buy. Painting is about more than drawing lines in paint with a brush. It is also about, you know, the entire elements, okay, and principles. So students will move from making lines to mark making shapes, organic and non-organic shapes, yeah, by using different tools, okay, so regular and irregular shapes. So have you got watercolors? Have you got your watercolors? Okay, let's start. So can you see this? Maybe I'll move this up a bit. Can you see that? Yep. So I've made a grid just using sticky tape. If you haven't got that, doesn't matter. Don't worry. My grid, when you do it with children, it just makes a even, you know, sort of it leaves a gap in between the different techniques, if that's what you're doing. So we're just exploring technique today. So this is explicit teaching. This is not an artwork. This isn't an artwork. It's technique. So you wouldn't hang it on the wall. You wouldn't have 25 on the wall. Okay, so we're going to take a dry brush first off. What I would like you to do is, now I've got these paints. These are the Cole Lenore paints, beautiful paints. So once you're in a classroom, highly recommend buying this. I haven't got shares in the company or anything, but they are absolutely beautiful paints. So what I'm going to do first off with a different brush is just wet the paint palette, okay? Because we will start off with the dry brush. All right, so you should have a couple of paint brushes. Okay, so you take your dry brush, and I've got quite a big one here. You dip it into your wet palette, and then exactly what it says, you're making dry brush marks, okay? So just start by doing this. Okay, how are we going? All right, and then I want you to take your wet brush, and what you're going to do, this is called wet on wet technique. So you're just going to wet the section with a bit of water. Now, hopefully mine's not going to dribble everywhere. And then what you are doing is you dip your paintbrush into your palette, and then you are just simply applying the paint. Now, wet on wet has a beautiful blend, can make a beautiful blend of colors. So if I was to add another color, can you see how intense these colors are? They're just beautiful. So you get that wet on wet. I'm going to move you closer, actually. Wet on wet look. So have a little bit of a play around with that one. So you get beautiful gradients in color when you use the wet on wet technique. You could apply, and I might do it on another one, just the wet paint without the water, and then use the watercolor as a blend. So let's see. Oh, gonna drip. So then you get, I don't know if you can see, but you get a different mottled effect. I might just, oh, I can't. I'll bring it closer. You get a nice gradient within the watercolor. So you can keep adding the water. Of course, yours isn't up on its side, so hopefully it's not dripping like mine. All right, so then the next technique we will do is a gradient wash. Sorry, excuse my, so just a little bit of paint, so of color, I should say, on the top, and then keep on going over it with the water, okay? So wipe it dry, and then you get a nice gradient of color, as you can see. I'm just going to keep on. Am I going too fast? I'm okay? All right. All right.
Victoria, could you just repeat again once more, like what you did in each of them? Each of them, could you just
Oh yeah, sure. So this one is a dry brush. So you wet your palette. So as you can see, my palette's a little bit, got quite a bit of pooling of water, and then you dip your dry brush into the paint palette. This is quite a big brush. And then you're simply using the dry brush to make marks. So this adds texture, as you can see. If I was to ask the children, what elements could be connected to just this technique, the dry brush, what are you creating there? They would say, well, there's quite a heavy, coarse texture to it. So there's a visible texture. This one up here is the wet on wet technique. So that's where you apply water first and then you put your paint on top. This one is where I put the wet paint on and then I'm just adding a different color of paint just so it sort of bleeds into each other. Now, bleeding is, if I had this down on this piece of paper down on the piece of paper, I could have quite a saturated water content on my page, and the bleeding of different colors can intertwine into each other. You could have a bit of a go at that on your desk there. Yeah, if you wanted to do some bleeding, but you can leave that to the last if you want. Now, the next one I'll show you. Is that okay, Jasmine? Yeah, you're all right? Okay, so the next one, I'm just going to add some paint. So I'm going to, it's just beautiful colors, these. I love using these. Just going to add some paint there. I'm going to take some plastic, okay? So Glad wrap, and I'm just going to lay it on top of the wet paint. And then this is called, this is just a cling wrap, like a scumbling type texture. Now, I don't know if you can see that, but it adds a different texture to the paint. So you've got this sort of mottled effect within your watercolor. Now, if I was to leave that on top of there and let it dry, which I might do, I might get some sticky tape and let it dry. Where's my sticky tape? Bummer. Oh, here it is. Okay, so what I might do is, like, you can leave yours on top if you've got Glad wrap or whatever. If you need to go and get some Glad wrap, that's fine. So I'll just leave that on top with some sticky tape, and then it should leave a bit of a mottled effect. Really good for creating tree surfaces, like bark surfaces. So if you were going out in nature with the little guys and you grab some bark or some leaves or whatever, then you might, suggest or show them different ways of painting with watercolor, and especially the textural ones too. Okay, so because you've got very soft and you've got very coarse lines. Okay, so spray. I'm guessing you don't have your spray bottles with you, but spraying. Oh, actually, unless it's blocked. Oh, my spray bottle might be blocked. Anyway, exactly what it means. No, it's not going to work. All right, let's try flicking. Flick. Flicking, but spraying, you know what spraying is, so I don't have to do it, but wow, it was working before. See, always the way. Okay, anyway, spray. Another thing is wax resist. So have you got a crayon or an oil pastel? Yes. Okay, so wax resist is where you apply the crayon. So we'll just do a bit of mark making as an example in here. And then you apply the watercolor over. So, and as you can see, can you see that? Where it's not, no, not that. Oh. Can you see the wax resist here? So the wax, of course, oil wax doesn't mix with water. So, and then, explaining that is a science lesson in itself, because you could do some marbling also. So that's where you, you can layer up some paint on water and do a marbling effect. Okay, so what are we doing? Flat wash, of course. A flat wash is just what it is. No gradient. Mine's going to have a gradient because I'm not flat. All right, another technique that you can use, which is really, really interesting, is adding to your paint. So if you have some salt, and you can go off and get some salt, if you pool your watercolor, so make sure that you've got I won't be able to do it on this angle, but you paint a patch of watercolor onto your page and then get some salt and sprinkle the salt on top of the paint, okay? But there's got to be pooling of water paint. So you've got to it's got to be quite saturated. So if you want to, you can go and get some salt and try that. And then, you know, at the end of this tutorial, you will see the effect. So what happens is the salt absorbs the watercolor, and what you're left with are these little speckles within the watercolor. So you can have a, you know, you're welcome to go and get some salt and try that. Also, if, I'll wait till people come back, you can go and get your salt, and I'll show you something else too, which is an old technique, but I've been using a different additive. What color can I do? Tending to go for the purples here. So this one works, this additive works with darker colors, I find. So what I'm going to do is, I've got my hand sanitizer here. Now, of course, you be in charge of the hand sanitizer, but I drip the hand sanitizer on, and what happens is you get a nice, you know, I wouldn't say it's a gradient of color, but you can see the hand sanitizer has created a bit of a slip on the paint. Can you see that here? So I just, you know, you can use rubbing alcohol, you know, so it is all about experimentation. So have a little bit of a play around with it. How are we going? Yeah, all good. You're all busy.
Could you use a face mask instead of Glad wrap?
Yes, have
Okay.
a go.
Okay.
You can use anything. You know, the bubble wrap, I'll just go ahead. You know, packaging, bubble wrap.
Yeah.
Yep, I cut those into squares. I go out and get some bark. I use absolutely everything. Leaves. So, you know, like it's not really good using plastics anyway, but if you can recycle a bag, I wouldn't use cling wrap. It says cling wrap, you know, like a lot of books that you get will say cling wrap, but I wouldn't use the cling wrap unless you can recycle the cling wrap.
Yeah.
Yeah, try and use recycled stuff, you know, like old shopping bags or whatever, but that it does produce a scumbling effect. But same deal with the masks, you know, like you can use the masks or whatever you can get your hands on, really. Newspaper, foil, whole lot. And it's really good to have all that on the table or have it as a provocation elsewhere and ask the children to go and, you know, source things to actually experiment with this sort of, you know, like explicit teaching, I suppose, explicit teaching of technique. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, my this is dripping. Now, of course, if you've got hypersensitive kids, I'm not going to do some finger painting with the watercolor, of course, but we're going to go on to acrylic. So have you got acrylic paint handy too? Oh, bummer. My acrylic paint's gone everywhere. You should see my desk. It's a real mess. So my advice would be to go on to Google. If you're not familiar with watercolor, then, you know, do your research also. I'm just going to get you off. If you can have a look at these are some samples. I didn't do, you know, we do them, but as you can see, the salt. Did anybody go and get some salt? No?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, you did? Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I'm not sure if my Himalayan pink salt worked.
Yes, it's actually rock salt is better than normal table salt. So rock salt you just got to make sure that you have got enough water consistency with the paint. So
Yes.
it's got to more or less be a puddle for the rock salt to work. But as you can see, you've got this beautiful mottled effect too. So really speckled. It's like looking under a microscope. But same goes with the hand sanitizer. Yeah. Did you drip hand sanitizer on?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. And did you get like round layers?
Yeah, round, like they look like cells.
Yes, cells. That's right.
Yeah.
And I find like we did a under the ocean you know, unit and part of it was to create a scene, and what the kids did was they actually used the hand sanitizer and the salt, and then it became their coral sea. So it was really beautiful.
Looks like bubbles
Yeah.
in water.
Yeah, that's right. It does look nice. Yeah, you just got to make sure the little ones, if you've got preppies, that they don't drink it or get it in their eyes. So what I do there is get little pippets and get them just to drop instead of the big hand sanitizer. Okay, so have you had enough of watercolor? Let's move on. Hang on a moment. Okay, we'll move on to acrylic mediums. So as you know, you've got paint pens, you've got liquid acrylic, so the bottles, you know, chrome acrylic. You've got PVA and food dye. PVA glue mixed with food dye is wonderful. I love it. You can produce a lot of different things, a lot of different textures. And when we move on to printmaking, you know, you can actually use the PVA glue as a printmaking medium. This is PVA glue here, and it's a raised surface that I have printed, but I'll show you that in a moment. So PVA glue, though, it just leaves that different, there's a texture, a tactile texture as well as a visible. So I get these little glue bottles, fill them up, and then I put the food dye in, and then they can actually just, you know, use the glue bottle as a like a pencil, you know. So, and then when it dries, yeah, you can use it as printmaking, or that is it, you know, it's a relief, relief drawing. Okay, so what else you got there? And gouache. And then, of course, you've got the oil paints. We don't tend to use oil paints in schools because it's a little bit, oh no, it's a little bit messy. And you don't want to be using the chemicals to clean it up. So, but you can get water soluble oil paints now. So you can clean them up really successfully, but they are expensive. So don't tend to use those until high school. All right, so let's look at acrylic paints. Have you got your palette? So this is my palette. I've got yellow, red, blue, which are the primary colors, and then I've got black and white. So if you haven't got a palette ready, get one ready. And then just let me know when you are ready to go. good to go? Or are you still watercoloring? Am I rushing you? No? You all right, Lauren? Waiting patiently. Are we all good? All right. Let's start with the acrylic. Just a few techniques that we'll go through. Okay, so again, you've got scumbling, so you can get your dry brush or you can use a wet brush for this. And I might just use my yellow for this. So I'll just apply it. And scumbling is just that back and forwards painting technique. So exactly what it says, scumbling. Oh, it's a bit of a dry brush there. And do a two-tone. Okay, you can scumble with plastic also. You can scumble with just about everything actually. All right, then I've got, let's do a bit of impasto work. So I'm just going to add some white. I'm going to use cardboard. Cardboard, you know, try and use anything you can. Impasto is a thick application. You can mix glue in with your paint. So I tend to mix gap filler into my paint also. So, and it makes a really nice raised rough surface. So I'm just using my piece of cardboard here, going to dip into the blue a bit, and I'm just going to scrape through. So this is impasto. You can get special impasto paint. So it is just that thick paint, but you, like I said, glue, gap filler, anything to thicken up the paint. So it's really, you know, meaty. So that's impasto there.
Can we use a palette to do that?
Yeah, you can use anything. Got a palette knife. You can use, I've just cut these out of, what do you call it? Balsa wood. So I've made a rough edge there. That's for a little bit of sgraffito that I'll show you, and scraping. So you ready for the next one? I can use a little palette. So, you know, you don't have to go to the art shops and get the really expensive palette knives. You can source them from Bunnings or anywhere, you know, cheap shops. So this is a Pro Renovators palette. It's got a palette knife, quite big though. So scraping, I'll do it over here. Exactly what it says. So scraping the paint through. I'll get another color. I'll try and mix on the palette. So I'm scraping the red through, might just get different section. Okay. So that's scraping. Oh, I've got it on me. Okay, and then I'm just going to apply this paint, and then I'm going to do a sgraffito. All right, sgraffito is where you etch through the paint to reveal another color. You can do sgraffito with oil pastels, and you can do it with a mixture of oil pastels and black paint or dark paint. So the sgraffito, I'm just going to paint it on, I think, with my, you know, use your fingers, whatever it takes at home. As you know, children love using their fingers, and I love them to use their fingers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add, what can I add first? I might add white first. I need a little bit more white. So usually with sgraffito, we will let it dry but you know, let the layers dry. But anyway, we'll have a go. So I'm just going to add white. We'll add some blue. I might use my palette knife, my piece of cardboard. Just scrape that over. Just adding another layer. So a little bit of yellow. Now, Sgraffito, I'm going to take the back of my paintbrush and I'm going to scrape off the paint. So good for line work, good for exploring shapes, good for exploring colour. So I don't know whether you can see that properly, but
Victor, yeah, could you just adjust the camera a little bit?
Oh, where am I? Hang on a moment.
Because I can't see the last one.
This one? Okay. So I just moved my palette. I'm just going to move this a little bit closer.
Thank you.
That's okay. Sorry about that. Okay. Can you see it all right?
It's still a bit close to the edge. Yeah, that's good now.
This one?
Yes.
Okay. So that's the Sgraffito. That's etching into the layers of paint. Okay. So, and as you can see, just, you know, you can use any tool for that. You can use toothpicks. You can use, anything sticks, and scrape through the paint to reveal the colors underneath, or the base paper. So if you were to color or get the kids to color on a purple piece of paper, then the base color is going to come through. Okay, so if you paint white on purple, then your lines are going to be purple, and so on. Okay, so the next one, let's do transparent. So I'll just excuse my arm. Oh. Okay, so I'm just going to do some red stripes. I'll just let that dry. Hopefully it dries in time. Okay, we are going to do wet on wet, because you can do wet on wet. It's one of my favorite techniques, because when I'm doing my own artwork, I love blending on the canvas. So I'll just mix up a bit of purple. Okay, so wet on wet is exactly what it is, applying wet paint. And then whilst it still is wet, and you can get extenders to keep your paint wet. While it is wet, you get another color, and then you blend on the paper. So you get a really nice gradient of color, and it produces some nice texture. Okay. So wet on wet, that is. Now, I've got a sponge also. So you can use sea sponges, you can use household sponges, nice thick chuckses, anything. This one is like a plasticky scourer, and I dip it into the paint just for that textural surface, and I pat. So it is like printing. So you get it like a stippling effect with this, because this one actually has got quite a lot of holes in it. this sponge. So as you can see, can you see? Hang on. Yeah. So this one. Okay, and then another one that you can do is masking. So that's using the masking tape. Getting the children to use any sort of tape really, or masking their work with paper. I'll just do a couple of lines here. So I'm just using masking tape. And then painting on top of that masking tape. And then when I pull off the masking tape, it reveals the paper. So quite a nice effect, especially if you're doing a sky with clouds, using the masking tape, or you know, getting them to cut out paper and putting it on top of the page and then painting around that. So then you end up with white clouds, and then you can do a wet on wet technique for the clouds. How are we going? Are you still in the zone? Yeah, Dylan, I can see your head down. Huh? Okay, so I'll just see if that, all right, looks like my red has dried. So what I'm going to do is transparent. So I'm going to get quite a watery consistency of yellow. So I've added quite a bit of water, so very wet paintbrush to my yellow, and I'm going to have a lime green there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a stripe over. Oh, it's mixed it. My red wasn't completely dry, but as you can see, there's a transparency. So very light. You can just see it there. So when that dries, that stripe across is going to be quite light, where the underneath stripes are very dark. Okay. And you can do the reverse and do an opaque, which is, yeah, again, darkness and lightness. And then you can do a stencil, which I'm going to cut out a little stencil from a paper plate, but you can use doilies, you know, the paper doilies. But I like getting the kids to actually, you know, use their fine motor skills and cut out stencils. So that's my little stencil there. And what I'm going to do, oh my gosh, I've got paint everywhere here. I know what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be cleaning up after I finish with you guys. All right, so stenciling is exactly what it says. So I'll just put it there. It's like putting it down. Can you see that? So putting the stencil down and just pushing the paint through. Now, hopefully this isn't too wet and it doesn't go all drippy, because my paintbrush unfortunately was quite wet. And that's the stencil there. You're very quiet tonight. You're all in the zone, I think. And there are the examples there on the screen. Now just pause the recording while recording. Okay, so as you can see, yeah, the samples are there, and the samples we have just gone through. Okay, so let's move on. So types of brushes, of course, flat, mop, filbert, dagger, got all sorts. So introducing them all to the kids, prepping surfaces, spend a bit of extra time preparing your painting surface. Look, you're not professional painters, so I would, you know, if you, depends on what quality paper you get, but try and get a nice grade cartridge so you can do watercolor with the children. If you use thin paper, of course, it's going to tear, okay? So depending on what your budget is, try and use good quality paper. I will use cardboard too. I will use absolutely anything for the kids to paint on. So non-conventional tools for painting. Oh, I didn't show you. So scrapers. So those ones that I made with, where are they? With the balsa wood. So simply scraping them on. Get the paint on there and just experiment with the kids. So scraping on to get different textures. You know what else I've done too? I've got rollers or, you know, tubes. You can't use the toilet paper tubes anymore. You can't use them directly from your bathroom anymore, but you can buy the tubes online and just wrap string around them. I glue things onto them so they get that nice, you know, that rolling effect, but that's more printmaking. And then you've got these, you know, board stencils, you've got pipettes, you've got straws. I've got these are textured boards or textured plastic that I will paint and print make. I use this for sgraffito too, so rubbing. I think we did that last week. So there's lots and lots of ways to explore. Oh, there you go. Some man-made things with natural objects. Now, I've also had the children using mops before and a big piece of paper outside or cardboard, and I've got them to dip their paintbrushes into mops, and we've made some really beautiful landscapes with those. I have created paintbrushes using using various things, leaves, of course, grasses. There's earbuds, there's all sorts of things you can use. Okay. All right, so I'm going to get on to just get this chewed up. Now, watercolor, learning the processes and techniques for painting. We've gone through that, but the curriculum connections, okay? All right, so the activity, now this is explicit teaching. So the learning activity that we explored connected to the curriculum, which you are going to have to do within your assignment, is this activity is an introduction to the traditional skills of watercolor painting. Okay, so it's learning about technique, really. The aim is to learn and apply some foundational skills associated with the form of watercolor. Again, it's not about the creativity, it's about the technique. So much like mathematics, you're teaching them the concept, and then you are allowing them, I wouldn't say this is mathematical, but I guess problem solving in maths, but you're allowing them to then use that technique within their own creativity. Okay, so the learning outcome one is ACAVAM 107, and this is a foundation to year 3 or year 2, I should say. Content descriptor: use and experiment with different materials, techniques, technologies, and processes to make artworks. You really didn't make an artwork, but you can use those techniques within your artwork. So that would be the extension, okay? Pedagogical approaches: modeling, demonstration, direct experience, closed-ended learning, because it is that explicit teaching of technique. And then you could discuss, you know, that further to extend their experimentation in techniques. Now, there's a template there that you can use, but we didn't use that tonight, of course. We used our own paper. And then you've got the acrylic, same deal, okay? So observation of demonstration of the acrylic techniques, You got the curriculum connections again, much like the other one. And the learning outcome there, or learning content descriptor there, is use and experiment with different materials, techniques, so same, okay? But that can continue on into the upper classes. So as you explore the Australian curriculum, you will see the different content descriptors, and they are just an add-on, okay? So there's just a little bit more wording as they get older, okay? And there's a little bit more detail and explicit experimentation. Okay, so again, modelling, deconstruct, 8 ways of Indigenous knowing, so that modelling. Further resources, you can have a look at the F to 6 sequential planning guide for teachers. All right, and again, you've got a template there, but I get the kids to, you know, prepare their own paper anyway. Colour theory. So we looked at colour theory last week, did we? No? Okay, so you have got the primary colours. So on my palette, I had red, yellow, blue. When you mix the primary to get secondary, it, you know, red and blue makes purple, yellow and blue makes green, and then red and yellow is orange, okay? And then you go to the tertiary colours, which is the spectrum of those colours. So a red, red, orange, or a yellow, you know, a yellow, 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 red, or, you know, and so on. So you got blue, purple, blue, green, yellow, green. So it just goes through the spectrum of tertiary colours, and that's how we start. You know, we go from primary to secondary to tertiary. We explore the warm colour schemes, and usually I'm talking about landscapes. So I get them to, you know, I tap into their prior knowledge, and I get them to explore cool landscapes. So I won't tell them what to draw, but I'll say think of a cool landscape, and a lot of them will either talk, or they'll present, or they'll paint, or, you know, use colour to represent a cool landscape. So forests, rainforests, oceans, and then the warm colours, I'll get them to explore landscapes, desert scenes, and so on. You've got the analogous colours, which are any 3 colours which are side by side, okay? So on that spectrum, you've got the complementary colours, so they sit opposite each other. This is a lot to take in, really. So you're going to need to go back over this and have a look, especially when you are teaching. You've got to refresh, you know, your knowledge on the colour spectrums. Yeah, cool colours, tint, shades, or tones. So white adds light, black adds darkness. And then, so that's the explicit teaching within that section of our tutorial. But then we have the responding section, okay? So if we look at, this painting by Brett Whiteley, is anybody familiar with Brett Whiteley's work? He is a very famous, or he was a very famous Australian artist. He won the Archibald Prize, I don't know how many times, but various times. This is one of his pieces that won an Archibald Prize one year. He's got a studio in the, his studio was in the Rocks in Sydney, or at the Rocks in Sydney, and his gallery is there. So is anyone familiar with Brett Whiteley?
Yeah, I am.
So a lot of his work, you probably should, be wary of his work. Don't show it to primary age children, because it can be quite explicit in parts, but this one is not. So various components to this. So this is his portrait, his self-portrait, okay? So he's in his studio, or in his house. So as you can see, some explicit visuals there. Okay. Yeah, so yeah, maybe a bit wary to, you know, primary, maybe secondary children. All right. You know, art is art though. There's going to be a lot of nudity. So when you take children on an excursion to the art gallery, I always give them the lowdown that there is going to be nudes, you know, up on display. Art is or paintings or sculptures. The human form is a subject, and in the past, when you know, we didn't have you know, photographs or whatever, you know, I sort of go into the history of art with nudes, but you know, there are an awful lot of nude works in the art galleries. So explaining that and trying to get them to think, you know, that this is art. It's not, you know, it's not dirty or whatever, is really important. Okay, so let's go back and think about this. We're responding to this, Brett Whiteley's picture. So what can the person perceive and feel? So what do you perceive and feel about this artwork? What what do you know about this artwork or believe? And what might the person care about? So if we look at this, it's really good when I do look at, when I do expose the children or exhibit some artwork within the class, then I'll get them to try and analyze the art. Oh, well, I'll get them to analyze the artwork, but I'll get them to try and figure out the story behind the artwork before I actually tell them the overview by the artist. So in this, you know, it's an Archibald Prize, you know, it's a portrait, but have a look at Brett Whiteley's face there. What do you think he is thinking, or what do you think is happening within this piece of artwork? Anybody?
I guess at a very simple level, it seems like he's utilizing a mirror to look at himself and then obviously painting from there what he's seeing.
Yep.
But then it's a perspective of the whole room. So it's sort of featuring things like the white lines for movement.
Yep.
Even going to the extent of showing like out through the windows, so there's an element of nature involved in there as well. So it's kind of like an observation of a moment, even though he is the moment.
Yeah, that's correct. It is. It is a moment in his time, and Brett Whiteley had his background. You know, he had quite a lot of substance abuse too, which, you know, you wouldn't talk about in the classroom, but just with you guys on online. And if you delve into the history of the artist, it exposes, you know, what they are portraying. So yeah, you're right. And so this is part of his world. So, you know, it's your own assumption or it's your own point of view. So artwork is subjective. So thank you for that. Color scheme. Let's talk about the color scheme. So what can you see? What colors can you see, and what are they? Are they secondary, tertiary? What are they?
I can see he has used the technique for the carpet. Is it the carpet?
Yes.
In his room?
Yep. So can you remember what that technique is?
So it starts with the sgraffiti. I don't remember the name. So where
Graffito?
Yes.
Graffito?
Yes, that's
correct.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. He's scraped into his work. So showing the children the artwork and discussing the technique. There's been times where I have actually got the children to recreate the piece, not for inspiration, but to explore the techniques the artist has used. I will also get them to extend on his thoughts. So, okay, what do you believe the artist is thinking? What is the story behind the artwork? Can we extend this artwork into your own perception? So getting them to, extend their thinking. So yes, in the bars, do you think he has used the sgraffito there too? Looks like a little bit of scumbling. So the primary colors, we have got red, blue, yellow, as you can see, and then there's some quite pale colors.
The other thing about it is the perspective is really distorted.
It is, isn't it? Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So, you know, as you can see, like he's got the wall, I think with the wall and the floor, like he's got that line going around, but it's not an obvious, you know, like geometrical line. It's more of a free flowing line.
Yeah, and you're seeing the top of this table,
Yeah.
not seeing the top of that one. Like everything is slightly out.
And it might, we can assume that maybe that's his mindset at the time. But, you know, like I said, it's subjective. Okay, we'll move on. So let's have a look at these portraits. So we're looking, you know, last week we touched on continuous line portraiture and we looked at blind drawing portraiture. Now these are portraits by the same artist, as you can see, Vincent van Gogh. So, and looking at the time frame, this is like 1889, both paintings, but very different. So what can you ascertain from these portraits? Have a look at the techniques Van Gogh has used. What is it displaying? What are some of the techniques displaying, as in elements?
Well, the one on the right, even his use of line shows movement in the background.
Yep, very much so.
But even on the clothes, like there's that sort of scruffled look about how his clothes are sitting.
Yeah, that's
whereas on the other one, which is obviously after he cut off his ear,
yes,
it's more straight and composed, and everything seems quite rigid.
Yeah.
So I look at it, and the first picture on the left evokes for me like reality.
Yeah.
And the second one is like imagining and creativity. That's what it evokes for me emotionally.
Nice one. Thank you. Thanks for that. Different color schemes too. So what do you think of the so we've got that movement of line. So Van Gogh used a really harsh brushstroke in many of his works. I don't know if you're familiar with Starry Night. So very famous Van Gogh painting. So the brush strokes within that is very, very, you know, could even say coarse, but a lot of movement. So Starry Night, you can gain a lot of inspiration from that painting, and we might look at that at a different time. But you know, I introduced a lot of Van Gogh's paintings. They're not particularly, they're not, I wouldn't say they're not well done. He's a very famous artist, but the children can gain a lot of inspiration when you are looking at line, movement, you know, and technique. Color schemes like that, the portrait, this portrait, the very light portrait, you've got a whole gradient of color within. This one here, you've got a different texture. And you are correct about the you know, I wouldn't say it's you know, like he's not disheveled or anything like that, but you know, you can actually see the texture of the garment. You can see the texture of the garment here. This looks like a very thick coat, really, doesn't it? All right, let's move on. Okay, now this is Picasso. So different portraits. So this one is of, this is his self-portrait, and this one is a female. Okay, so as you can see, he started, you know, he is a cubist artist, so very angular lines here. What are you thinking about this one? What are you thinking about the use? Could you use this in the classroom?
Does it almost have elements of Zentangles?
Sort of, yeah, sort of.
He's reduced it all to like shapes, so just like quite basic shapes.
That's right.
Basic colors.
So, and cubism is about those the line work and the shapes, the enclosed shapes. So this one is not as cubist as others because he has got different elements to this. But yeah, as you go through and you investigate artworks and you get samples to show the children, you know, for responding, you can go through the art movements. So this is cubism. And then we've got Frida Kahlo. So quite a nice piece, very industrial, I guess, but Frida, if you look into the history of Frida, she had quite a traumatic experience, and why she got into art was because she was she had broken her back from a car accident. So and she explored that, but she was married to Diego Rivera, who was a political social artist in Mexico. So very nice tones in her work, beautifully painted. Okay, and then this one's her other self-portrait. So she did quite a number of self-portraits, and I did a unit on artists where the kids came in as the artist, and then they did an oral presentation as the artist and told the history of their artists and the techniques used. And they actually recreated one of their works and presented that in an oral presentation. That was a year 7 class back in the day, I think. Okay, so I think there's Andy Warhol there, but I'm going to let you explore that further. There's quite a number of different artists here. Mini Archibald Prize. Did we end up doing a picture of a drawing last week of you guys and an animal?
We did portraits, but not with the animal.
Not with the animal. Okay, so we have got. I can get you to draw your portrait if you wish. Otherwise, we can move on. But actually, I will. There's different ways of portraiture. It doesn't have to be, you know, the full frontal portrait. Sorry, I'm flicking around here. Andy Warhol, very famous artist. So, of course, he did printmaking and very famous for his Marilyn Monroes and Elvis and Jimmy Deans. So he did quite a lot of colour combinations. And then you've got Sydney Nolan, very famous Australian artist, part of the Angry Penguins. So as you can see there, what sort of technique do you think, you know, acrylic wise, this might be? Thinking back to your testers. How do you think you could use this? How do you think what could you use to create this? Using acrylic.
Is it the back and forth scumbling one?
Scumbling.
Yeah.
I would think it would be more wet on wet. So yeah, layering the paint up whilst it's wet. But yeah, scumbling you can, you know, I can't, there's probably a little bit of scumbling there. But yeah, more the wet on wet. Just getting you guys to think outside the square, thinking back to the what we were doing, beautiful tonal changes in this one. So what I might get you to do is draw your self-portrait. This is Vincent Namatjira, so Namatjira's son, and then you've got Del Catherine Barton, who does some beautiful portraits. Okay, so these artists all won the Archibald Prize. Now you can have a look at the Archibald Prize on virtually at the Sydney Art Gallery. You can take the kids for a tour, the children for a tour. So what I might get you to do is, we won't take a selfie, but well, you could take a selfie and then draw it, but let's do something out of the box, okay? But what I might get you to do is start them now, but use your painting techniques, some of the painting techniques, and I might get you to upload onto our discussion site our different Archibald prizes or mini Archibalds. Okay, so I'll let you have an exploration of that. The learning outcomes, the connection to the curriculum, develop and apply techniques and processes. And then you've got explain how visual arts conventions communicate meaning by comparing artworks from different social, cultural, and historical contexts, including Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders. So that's that responding to art. Responding, students can observe and respond to Brett Whiteley's self-portrait in studio and complete the artful thinking strategy, looking, step inside, perceive, know, care about, to explore the viewpoints. So that's an artful thinking strategy. So you're viewing a portrait from someone else, you know, viewing a self-portrait and viewing what has made them create that you know, the portrait that way. You can unpack the visual conventions within that, which we did in some of them. So whilst I'm talking, start creating your self-portrait. Try and think of different ways to actually portray yourself. Okay, we've got some beautiful ones here done by children on the side, and as you can see, different ways of exploring. All right, got a cubist one there. So have a think how you might want to do yours and lay the groundwork for it whilst I'm still talking. Okay, so I'll get you to create while I am talking. Proportions of the face. There's a little grid there, but you don't have to use that. What I get the children to do is, and I think I talked about this last week, is to actually feel their face and discover where things, you know, where parts of the face or facial features lie within the face. So we usually cut our heads in half. Children tend to draw these really big melon heads. So I get them to feel their head, because we all have different head shapes, but predominantly we all have a chin, and we all have the head on top is usually wider than our chin. Okay, so I talk about this. So I get them to close their eyes just while you're drawing. So hopefully you're still drawing, and then painting. You can paint it straight on the page or draw, whatever takes your fancy. Use watercolor or acrylic, whatever, whichever your choice. Yeah, so then I will get them to, you know, I do a little thing where actually I'll get you all to watch this. So I get them to put their fingers over their eye and drag their fingers down. Can you guys see me? Yeah, drag their fingers down. And then I say, okay, so from your eyes, what can you feel? And I usually say, okay, from the middle of my eyes, when I drag my my fingers down, are the edges of my mouth. Okay, so do you get that? So proportionally. And then I get them to put their thumb on the bottom of their nose, finger on the top of their nose, and then I get them to drag their fingers across, and you usually hit the top of your ear and the bottom of your ear. So then I get them to think about, okay, placement. Nose is going to be in line with the ears. Eyes, middle of your eyes are going to be in line with the edges of your mouth. Okay, so, and there's various other things you can do. You can break your face up into sections. So because your forehead and the top of your head is one section, and then from your eyebrows down is another section. So there's all different ways of talking about proportion with the kids. But again, if you're getting them to draw the face and you want them to do it proportionally correct, then it's about that investigation into how you do it. So lots and lots of YouTube clips out there, and lots of books. Okay, lots of research. Okay, I'm going to touch on printmaking tonight. What is it? 7:32. Ooh. Okay. I think we'll go for another 15 minutes. I might touch on printmaking. Okay, just while you're drawing. We're going to go into photography, but might go back. We'll come back to that one next week, and I might go on to printmaking because just simply because of that assessment. So if you've got some knowledge on printmaking, it might be something that you might choose. Okay. So while you're drawing, I'll just talk if that's okay. So printmaking is the process of making artworks by taking an impression, of course. Now I've got a number of different prints here, or not prints, but printmaking, printmaking resources. So this one's the glue one. So I use PVA glue and then I let it dry out in the sun. I might do another layer of PVA glue and then let it dry out in the sun again. And then I can roll some paint over it. I can roll some printmaking ink if I've got that for older classes. I place an A4 piece of paper on top and then I get that impression on another piece of paper. All right, this one's a little bit more for the older classes. So I'm saying secondary probably. I wouldn't do it in primary and certainly not in early childhood. This is a wood print, a wood block print. So it's carving into the wood, okay? Just to give you a bit of a example, okay? Just to show you some examples. And then you carve out the negative and positive space, okay? So whatever you carve out is going to be create the line. Okay, so I've got that. There's the screen. So screen printing, that's where you lay this on top of paper and you get your squeegee or your, like your piece of, you can use a piece of cardboard even, and scrape the paint through to make an impression from a stencil that you have put on your screen. Then I've got this. So this is a sponge. So I've actually used a sponge that you buy from a supermarket and cut it out. And this one, I think I didn't do this one, but the child created a monster. So quite nice placement. This one's got some sticky tape on it, but then you glue it onto card. Now I get old boxes and I just get them to cut the squares, the cardboard, and then I get them to glue, with quite a good glue, the either another layer of cardboard or the sponges, okay? Now, I'm going to paint this. While you're doing that, I'm going to paint this and then I'll get you to look up. So I'm just going to use some acrylic paint on this and then I'll make the impression. All right. Now, usually I would use a roller, but I'm going to do this very fast. Gosh, I chose the most complicated or the time-consuming print. Okay, then I get my paper. Where's my paper? All right, so I've just painted acrylic paint on this. So this is my monster. And then I'm going to get my piece of paper. I'm just going to rub my hands over the piece of paper, which is on the print. And then when I pull my page up, I end up with the print of the monster. Okay, so the print of, that's the impression. Okay, so really simple to do. I do that from early childhood to right up. You know, it's I can use it in my own artwork too. So cutting out cardboard, putting it onto, you know, another piece of cardboard or some balsa wood, and as you can see, it is, you know, you've got that beautiful edge. So no paint is going to go on this, but it's going to be instead on your print. So you can make multiples. Okay. Now you can use a Perspex piece, or a piece of Perspex. You can use a dinner plate. You can use paper plates. You can use anything actually with a flat surface to create a mono print. So a mono print is a one-off print. So simply, I might grab this down, put this up. So painting the surface. Okay, and then I can either get my finger, or I can get a actually might use my finger, so I can scrape through, so through the surface of the paint. And then what I do then is I get my paper, I put it on top of the Perspex like this. I give it a rub, cross fingers, the impression will come out. And then I pull it off, and there's a mono print. Okay, so any questions about that? Okay, the next thing you can use if you want to purchase it is the foam printing boards. So this is a really child-friendly printmaking resource. So it's just, you know the old veggie trays or butcher's trays. Well, it's that material. What you can do is you can get the edge of, hopefully I've got a pen here. Where is it? Oh yeah. You can get your pen and draw into the surface. So I'll draw into the surface, and as you can see, it leaves an impression. So I'll just do a really simple design here. Now this resource can be bought at art shops, or you can recycle anything that is this foam, you know, material. So again, hopefully it's not too watery. I'll use the rest of my paint. Okay, and then paint over. As you can see, you can see the design there. Hopefully I've got enough paint on it. And then I put my paper on top. I give it a rub, nice hard rub. Oh, slid off a bit. Whoops. And then you get that lovely impression. Okay. Ooh, shivers. Okay, so printmaking is about repetition. It is, you know, it is that natural urge to repeat the process. Although mono printing, you repaint the surface and you can etch into that again. And, you know, it depends on how thick your paint is. You might be able to get multiples, but usually mono means one. So it's one print. Very much an early childhood and primary technique, as well as the printing foam. This example picture, that is off the printing foam. All right, stamping, so potato stamping, block printing. Here are some examples here. The screen printing that I showed you with that nice big screen. Collagraphs is where you apply the cardboard, or like my little monster. And then you've got the Sonotype, so that's actually, you know, that's a great one. So you might want to experiment with that at home, actually. Grabbing some leaves and placing it on top, sort of like a stencil. You can get the Sonotype, you can get a medium, a solar medium. So you paint the surface and then you lay the object on top of that and you put it out in the sun. And then what happens is your object, usually I get the kids to grab leaves or whatever, then it is white, you know, and the background is purpley blue or whatever. And then you've got block printing. Block printing, you might remember that from when the days you were at school with the old block printing tool. Lots of blood, so not one that we use anymore. Okay, so we might go into more printmaking next week and the designs, but at least you've got a little bit to experiment with this week, okay? The designs can be, you know, it might be something that you, zines, I should say, short for fanzines and magazines. I would say zines all the time. Something that you might want to use within your group product. So that's a printmaking, you know, to explore you know, you can make brochures, you can make graphic novels, you can make, yeah, all sorts of things. So we'll go more into that next week though, and we'll create our own. So if you can, collect some things to print. So I guess I don't want to give you any homework, but if you can get some cardboard and start making or source this foam would be good, or cutting out where's my, you know, cutting out the cloth, you know, your felt or whatever. Oh, actually, felt might be too thin. Get a nice thick chucks, you know, not the blue thin ones, but the nice yellow ones or green ones, and cut those out. They're really simple to cut out, and then glue them onto some cardboard, or use cardboard on cardboard. Okay, and then we will explore that next week. You might want to explore it yourself this week if you've got time, maybe with your children, or maybe with your class, or maybe with a friend or whatever. Might be a nice mindfulness thing to do. Nothing too extreme, of course, but just experiment. All right, I think we might call it quits tonight, and then talk about this next week. Okay, we'll get more into the printmaking. But sorry to rush you there in the end, but I just wanted you to be a little bit exposed to printmaking as a medium that you could use and explore. Might be something that triggers, you know, some memory for you. You might have a flashback to your childhood and say, yeah, actually, I do remember monoprints. I will experiment with that with my product. Okay, so within your groups, make sure that you are collaborating together on that theme, and then try and get started on that project as well as your first assignment, okay, the essay. All right, now in the meantime, I will make sure that template has been exposed. It might be hidden from you guys, so I don't know why, but I'll have a look. That's you know, I'll have a look anyway at the site, because there's so many lecturers on this site at the moment. Yeah, national and then all over Australia. So I will put it in our online tile, okay? Sorry, I haven't been keeping up with the chat. All right, where are we? Gordon or Yasmin? Oh, has anyone seen Hannah Gordon or Yasmin Floors in other tutorials? Have emailed them twice, but no reply. Who is that? Emma Parr.
Yeah, are you able to check if they were here in last week's class in your
Yes.
attendance list?
Yeah, I was just kind of wondering how long do we wait? I
don't
said,
wait.
oh, if Jonathan wants to join us and we haven't heard from them, then that'll make it 3 and we can get on with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Get on with it then. I
Yeah,
wouldn't wait.
okay.
Yeah, don't wait. Who is it? It's hang on a minute.
Yes,
So it's
Jonathan
Emma
Young.
and, the ones that are missing, Hannah Gordon and
Hannah
Yas-
Gordon and Yasmin Flores. Give me a look here. So, but no, shit. Yeah, they've both been away twice. So
Okay.
possibly, yeah, maybe withdrawn. I'll have a look though. Okay. If that's the case, I will email you. I'm going to go back through and have a look at the withdrawals, because usually it's about this time of this week or next week that we do get people withdrawing. So I'll make sure that those people have withdrawn from a group, then I'll get in contact with that group, okay, ASAP. If not tonight, then tomorrow. All right. But Emma, who are you going to get together with?
Oh, Jonathan had just messaged in the chat and said all his other group members were MIA, so he was looking for another group.
Yep. Okay, good. Great. I'm glad you're getting proactive with that. Yeah. So join with another group. Okay. Yeah. So
join with our group decision.
Yeah.
All right, that's decided. I'm joining you guys.
Jump on in.
Good.
I was wondering again if I'm able to join a group with.
Yes, Marta needs a group too. So if there's anyone with 3 in the group, can Marta join a group tonight? I haven't got my groups in front of me. So
there are 2 groups on the list, and that's with Alicia Adams, Christine Aitken, Hannah Ayo. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Alicia Adams and who else?
Oh my God.
Who is it, Marta? Alicia Adams.
Yes.
Who?
Christy Aitken. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly. Hannah Ayo.
Hannah Ayub. Now she's been away twice. So Emma, how many's in your group now?
If both of those women aren't coming, then that would be 3 with Jonathan.
Okay, so can Marta join your group tonight?
Yep, sure.
And I will email those 2 girls. They might have to be in their group together.
That's a second group, is it?
Pardon? Emma and hang on, Emma Parr.
Yeah, that's
Marta.
4. Yeah.
Okay. So take down Emma's and Jonathan Chan's email address. And I'm not quite sure. I haven't got the groups in front of me, but make sure that you get in contact with them, Marta. Sure. So I might tick you off as having a group now.
Victoria?
Yes?
Do you have Christy Lee in your list?
Christy? Yeah, Christine Lee. Yes?
Is she there in...
Oh, Kirsten Lee.
Christy, I don't know. It's spelled like Kristy.
Crystal Tanza. Okay, so she's missing too. So I will get back to you about that one. Who else is in that group?
It's me, Marisa, Andrew. So we 3 are in contact, but we are missing Christine Lee.
Okay, so my advice to you, if you have got someone who is MIA, you've contacted them. I will, hang on a moment. I'm going to write this down. Where's my pen? My pen's gone missing now. Okay, I'm going to make a mark. So, Christy, I would advise you guys to get on with it and start, okay?
Yep.
Now, if those people who are you're not able to get in contact with them, then they will just have to join in, okay? So they're just going to either put them in a group or they join in with you. But they, you know, because it's an individual, it's a group assignment, but you guys have to decide on what, you know, product you are going to produce media arts and visual arts wise. Then that person will just have to, you know, you can't accommodate them. They are going to have to adjust, okay, to you guys.
Victoria.
Yeah.
Are you fine with sustainability if we choose sustainability as a subject for the second assignment?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And for the first assignment, do you want to just focus on EYLF, or do you want us to accommodate both EYLF and the Australian curriculum for like from foundation to year 5 or 6?
Yeah. Are you primary or early childhood?
Both.
Or
both.
Both.
Yep.
So yeah, what you could do, well, yeah, I would be investigating both. So ELF and the Australian curriculum, because it is, it depends on what you're enrolled in. So there's 500 and then there's 560. I'm guessing the majority of us here tonight are 560. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So follow that, because there's 2 unit outlines. There's one for 500, one for 560. Unit outlines, but the assessment tasks, if you go into assessment 1, there's a 500 and there's a 560. Go into the 560 assessment task and have a look at that, and get started on that. I did talk through it last week, but just have another read through that assessment, okay, for 560. If you are pure 500, then again, have a look at that, okay? All right, but try and use as much documentation as you can, as much theoretical perspectives and research as you can. Okay, the usual for an assignment this big is about 10 references. So just, you know, try and yeah, if you've got any questions, try and source them, but I would advise you to use the text, number 1, and I would use the recommended readings too, and recommended sources. Okay. Hi, Victoria. Is it possible to change my group, as it'll be easier to work with my classmates I meet at university? So Jasmine, how many in your original group? You still there?
Yeah, so we've got, anyhow, I'll be in a group of 4, so it's 3 in each. So if I move to 1, that'll be 4.
And it's just, yep, that's fine. That's fine. If you haven't made contact, or can you just send your other group, if you have made contact, actually send an email to the other group and tell them that you have moved.
Right. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Yep. No worries. All right. I think we'll call it a night. What else? I'm in group 3. Yes, Doe, Catherine Doe. Yep.
Yeah, that's the same. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Yep. Okay. All right. What else have we got? I have emailed Brianna, and apparently she is not studying at ACU. Okay. Victor, how many's in your group? Did you just change just then?
No, I've organized my other 2 members are in the tutorial right now. So
oh, good. Okay then. Good. Okay, that's all. All right. Has anyone seen Georgia Boone? Hang on a minute. Georgia Boone, where are we? Yeah, no, she's been away too. Okay, Jonathan, I think you're pretty set up now anyway.
Yeah, I'm all
You're
set.
fine. Yep. Okay, I'm just going back through these. Sorry about this. Who has Ruby W in group? Kirstine Watson, who is Ruby, already has a group. There is a space in that group. Thank you.
So Ruby Watson no longer exists.
Yeah,
so
that's
if someone wants to jump in that group, they can.
Okay, rightio. So, yep, there is a vacancy there then. Might have been filled tonight. Yeah, okay. All right. So, you know what? Scrape off your salt and have a look at the effect, and we'll call it a night, and then we'll go into a little bit of printmaking photography next week, but try and get onto those 2 assessment tasks, okay? Any questions, please email me. Yeah, but I am going to download this recording and put it up on YouTube so you can go over it if you wish. All right. But keep on experimenting and have fun with it. And that's about it, guys. So I will talk to you next week. All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Victoria. Good night, everyone.
Thanks. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
See you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.